My father-in-law died this past summer. This was my husband's stepfather. His mother married his stepfather. My husband was in his 30s, 7 years after his own father had died. So we really weren't very close to this stepfather. He lived in Illinois, and we lived down here in Texas, and we never lived with them or close to them. We saw them sometimes, but not very often. And when we did, my father-in-law, well, let's just say he was an argumentative type. And he was an ultra-right-wing conservative. So, when he died, I wondered what his 4 children were going to say about him at the funeral. And they all started with a caveat, admitting that he was difficult. They all said, yes, he was difficult to be around. He was difficult to have as a father. He was a difficult person. But still, they learned some life lessons from him. As they were talking, I began to take notes. I could see my father-in-law in a different light, sharing his wisdom with his children. And you know, as a typical adult, like you and me, we retain 22 pieces of wisdom passed on to us from our elders. At least 22, from our parents and from our grandparents. And it sticks with us our whole life. And we pass it on to our children, all those little nuggets. So I wanted to retain those nuggets from my father-in-law, who was very difficult. So I wrote them down. So, as an elder to many of you here, I want to give you a piece of wisdom. Don't lose your notes. Because, yeah, I did. I lost those notes that I had committed a sermon to, and I looked up and down all over our house for the last several days, and I could not, for the life of me, find those notes. I concluded giving myself a little grace because the flood did come in September after I took the notes and we moved everything from downstairs upstairs, that they must have indiscriminately got thrown away or something. But not to worry, it all worked out because it forced me to do a lot of research on this subject, to learn about what is it we learn from our elders. It was a great research. There are books written about wisdom from our grandparents. There are books written about people that have influenced us who are older than us. I just loved reading all those words of wisdom. In fact, I found a poem written by Robert Short, and it's a little bit funny, but it's also a little bit disturbing, alarming. Robert Short says, "The situation today is lots of knowledge, but little understanding. Lots of means, but little meaning. Lots of know-how, but little know-why. Lots of sight, but little insight." In other words, he's saying the one thing that we are sorely missing today is wisdom. Which is curious, because our elders are full of wisdom. So I think anybody who's been here 50 years and up, you got it. You got wisdom. Now I know what some of you younger people are thinking, that you have wisdom too, which you do, but it's a different kind of wisdom. It's not the long perspective that you could see what worked and what didn't work that a 50-year-old has, or a 70-year-old has, 80 or 90-year-olds old. I just want to sit with you and listen to you. I want to hear your stories. I want to learn everything you have. So, That's because people who have lived a long life and gathered nuggets along the way are able to nail what is a waste of time, what is worth doing and what is a waste of time. Carl Plumer wrote a book, The 30 Lessons for Living, and in there he interviewed 1,000 seniors. Do you know what their number one piece of advice was? Stop worrying so much. It's a waste of time. I quote him here. One of the biggest regrets of the very old was, I wish I hadn't spent so much time worrying. They weren't talking about planning, but the kind of mindless rumination that we all do over things that we have no control. One of the people who said that, it summed it up this way. It was a woman who said, I knew there were going to be layoffs at my job. I did nothing over the coming 3 months except worry about being laid off. I poisoned my life. I didn't think about anything else, even though I had no control over it. She paused and said, I sure wish I had those 3 months left, had those 3 months back, because that was just lifetime lost. Wasted. All the time we waste worrying. So people who are older and have that lifelong wisdom know. They know what worked. They know what didn't work. They know what was important. They know what, don't do that, honey. That's wasting your life. So why aren't we going to our elders more? Why don't we go to our elders for advice and guidance? I think it's because our society worships youth, which is kind of funny when you think about it. As Mark Twain said, when I was a boy of 14, my father was so ignorant I could hardly stand to have that old man around. But when I got to be 21, I was astonished at how much he had learned in just 7 short years. But we do have a bias against age in our culture. And as Unitarian Universalists who stand up for injustices, I believe we need to stand for the elderly. In Asian countries, the elderly are treated with respect. Not so much here. I had a client yesterday, he's probably about 65, and he said to me, I feel like I am treated as a too old leftover. And I said to him, well, you are not a too old leftover. Buddy, you gotta get, you are wise. You have wisdom. You have things to teach your grandchildren. Show up and be in their lives. I'd say the same thing to you. You who are over 50, including me, have wisdom. Show up and get involved in younger people's lives. Don't underestimate the value of the gifts that you have, because they are invaluable. I want to share with you some wisdom of elders, of famous people that you've probably heard of, starting with Nelson Mandela. He used to say, I never lose. I either win or I learn. You can do the same. Mark Twain, the 2 most important days in your life are the day you were born and the day you figure out why. Gandhi, be the change you wish to see in the world. Aristotle, you are what you repeatedly do. Therefore, excellence needs to be a habit and not just a single act. Now I want to share with you some wisdom of people you probably don't know, my grandparents. But you might have heard some of the wisdom that they passed on to me. My grandmother said, often, eat dessert first. Just in case you die in the middle of the meal, you'll be happy. she also told me, honey, when it comes to chocolate, resistance is futile. Just go ahead and eat it and enjoy. My grandfather told me, don't buy anything you can't afford. Don't buy on credit, pay cash. Oh, I know about those credit cards. And if you decide to get one of those crazy credit cards, pay it off every month, every penny. Don't be stupid and pay that interest. That's just giving your money away. My other grandmother taught me the number one piece of advice that was most often cited in Pillimer's research study of 1,000 seniors. Manners don't cost anything. Manners don't cost anything. She would say, take them with you wherever you go, and for goodness sake, use them. And finally, my other grandfather said to me when I got married, never go to bed on an argument. Stay up all night if you need to, but get on that problem right away. Don't let it fester. He was also the man that said it's better to be an hour early than 1 minute late. What about you? What were the pearls of wisdom that were handed down to you? Anybody want to share one of those? Yes, Esther. Beautiful. If you're approaching something that you are going to learn or want to learn, actually learn it. Don't be a warmer bunch pretending to learn it to get past the test, but actually learn it. Yes, Lou. Okay. Aunt Henrietta, what a great name. Just showing by example how to be a strong and powerful woman in this world. Yay. Yes, Ryan.
Two things that my grandma was working with my grandmother.
Right. Okay, tell the truth, tell the truth, tell the truth, tell the truth, because it's going to come out anyway. And check those curse words, because they're only for people that aren't intelligent enough to know better words to use. I love that. Okay, one last one. Jimmy.
I remember two things. One of them is penny saved, penny earned.
Okay. Right. So a penny saved is a penny earned, and also be careful what comes out of your mouth. It better be clean, I guess. Okay. Oh, and one more.
What I got from my watch the grass.
Watch the grass grow. Take the time. Right. Okay, so 3 final words of wisdom to the family matters. Family counts. If you're separated from someone in your family, do whatever work needs to happen to heal that. And take the time to watch the grass grow. Do nothing that, and that tell me the third one. Everybody. We're here to get along with our differences. Everybody is beautiful and wonderful in their own way, and how can we get along? Yeah, lots of good words of wisdom. Now I will tell you a secret. When I was writing this sermon last night, I was thinking to myself of Lao Tzu. Lao Tzu was the founder of Taoism. He wrote the Tao Te Ching, and I like a lot of what he says. And I remembered last night at 7 o'clock at night, he said, at the center of your being, you know the answer. I want you to really think about that. At the center of your being, when you don't think you know, it's in there. And I got real quiet. At the center of my being, I know the answer. And I remembered where my notes were. I had put them on the computer so just in case that little piece of paper got lost. So I was so happy to be able to share with you his wisdom. My father-in-law was a man of God. He preached God and he preached Jesus to anyone, anywhere, anytime, any place. He preached it ferociously, and actually he wouldn't shut up about it. But out of his framework came that we are here on earth to serve God. I don't know about the God part, but I do believe we are here on earth to serve. And out of that framework came this pearl of wisdom from him. Sometimes you have to get in the gutter to see God's purpose for you. You ever been in the gutter? Down in the gutter? Because I have. I have been so low, I didn't think I could get back up. And I have found, as an elder to many of you, that each time I was in the gutter, down low, my heart got broken open a little bit more, and my life got a little bit richer. Because, as my father-in-law said, when you're in the gutter, just know this: God has you right where He wants you, in pain, in confusion, in fear. Think of God as a potter who will continue to shape and mold you through fire. I don't know about the God part. We all have different beliefs about God. Whether He, she, it exists at all, we don't really know. But I do know that when you're hitting rock bottom, the rock is really hard, and it can serve as a foundation for building a new life. It's a transformational area when you're in the gutter, and it's where you get a little piece of wisdom that you will pass on to your children as well. Which leads me to the next wisdom of my father-in-law. He said, the path may disappear, press on. And I think, isn't that a truth? Because sometimes we can't see the path anymore. We don't know which direction we're supposed to go. We feel completely lost. And yet all we have to do to be found is press on. That's it. One foot in front of the next foot, in front of the next one. And eventually you will walk out of that fog. And it'll become clear what your next way is. So if you're in one of those places right now, not knowing where the path is, press on. As Anonymous tells us, no matter how you feel, you get up, you dress up, you show up, and you never, ever give up. It's going to get better. Press on. The last pearl of wisdom I want to share with you from him, my father-in-law, is do the best job you possibly can, and you will be ahead of half of the population of the world. Do the best job you possibly can, and you will be ahead of half of the population. I think this is profound, actually. Just do the best you can, because here's the profound part. You really can't do anything different than that. I know when I was writing my first book, I was saying to myself, I should be writing something better than this. I should be writing something more profound, more wonderful, more brilliant. I should be writing something. And then one day it occurred to me, Patti, that's not even possible. You can't write what you don't know. You can't be an expert where you're not an expert. And so I told myself, you know what, Patti, just write what you know, because you can't do anything more than that anyway. So what I'm telling you is to be the best you that you can be, because you can't really be anybody else anyway. Do the best job you can in your life, and you'll be ahead of half of the population. You are enough. On the day you were born, the earth spun. The sun shined. Everything aligned for you to come to the planet. Be the best you can be, and that is enough. When you came here on that day, that notorious day when you arrived, you were handed a journey, but you were also handed people to help you in your journey. You were handed parents and grandparents and aunts and uncles and teachers and neighbors and mentors and elders in this fellowship to help you. So I encourage you not to be shy, to ask for the wisdom of people who are older than you are, because they will straight out tell you, oh, that doesn't work. Oh, no, that's a waste of time. Try this instead. They will tell you because they have been there and done that. They know what works, and they know what is a waste of time. So I encourage you, young folks, to seek out the elders here. And elders, I encourage you to value what you have to give and to openly, joyously share it with the world. Amen, and blessed be. And as you go forth in your week, as I blow out our chalice, knowing that I blow this out but not the light inside of each one of you, remember, eat dessert first.